Tonight on West Dakota Fox News at 9, new clues in a deadly Grand Canyon helicopter crash. Plus, North Dakota athletes living their Olympic dreams, zeroing in on the gold. But first, a major initiative to get Bismarck booming.
This is West Dakota Fox News at 9 with Molly Martinez and meteorologist Henry Blakes. Your first news of the night starts right now on West Dakota Fox News at 9.
Good evening, I'm Molly Martinez. Since taking office, one of Governor Doug Burgum's main political pillars has been his Main Street initiative. But we've long wondered, what does that promise actually look like? Today, we're getting some answers. Maddie Gelseth gives us the details.
13,000 jobs are open in the state, and Governor Doug Burgum says he hopes to fill those jobs by turning North Dakota into a community where people want to stay and work here.
If we don't fill those jobs, we're not taking care of our communities. We're not taking care of the elderly. We're not taking care of the people in most need. I mean, if we don't fill the healthcare jobs, it's just critical that we fill the jobs that we have here.
The Main Street initiative is aimed to make our economy stand out from others to hopefully attract millennials.
What can we do in our communities to actively engage folks to see what would be a driver for attracting people? What are some things that our community does?
Being in the 21st century is a continuing journey, but Jay Schuler, the Commerce Commissioner, says North Dakota is doing well, but we can always move forward.
Things are changing from business to healthcare to education, and we need to be on top of it all.
McMurdy says attracting more people won't cost taxpayers any money. Its main goal is to be able to grow fiscal stable communities with the tax base we already have. For West Dakota Fox News at 9, I'm Maddie Gelseth.
Time now is 9:02. Let's throw it over to meteorologist Henry Blakes.
Hey, thank you. Roller coaster pattern expected later on this week, so I'll have that complete forecast coming up later on.
Thank you, Henry. A Wolford man is facing multiple sexual assault charges tonight. 40-year-old Kim Yoder is accused of sexually assaulting a child multiple times last summer in Pierce County. According to a criminal complaint, prosecutors say that Yoder touched a teen inappropriately on 4 separate occasions in July and August of 2017. Yoder made his initial court appearance Monday and will be back in court later this month. This weekend, an inmate managed to escape from the Missouri River Correctional Center. According to police, on Saturday, a passerby noticed a man who looked like an inmate wearing a brown jumpsuit and walking through the woods. Police say they found 45-year-old Robin Nolan on the 700 block of West Raleigh Street, Burley Avenue, 100 feet from the roadway. Police say they ordered him to the ground at gunpoint, and Nolan complied. Nolan admitted to the escape. A Bismarck police officer was kicked in the head while searching a suspect. Police say they were responding to a fight between 24-year-old Chance Thompson and 20-year-old Jory Whitebull early this morning. Officers say when they arrived, the two suspects fled the scene. As Thompson was running, he tripped. Thompson was handcuffed and put in the back seat of a patrol car, and the officer went to assist in arresting Whitebull. Later, the officer pulled Thompson out of the car when he refused to get out on his own. Officers say Thompson then kicked the officer in the side of the head and face. Thompson was arrested for simple assault, and Whitebull was arrested for minor in consumption and fleeing on foot. Police in Fargo say a would-be robber didn't have much success last night thanks to a quick-thinking customer. The incident happened at a Tesoro gas station on 33rd South Street. The customer saw a man walk in dressed in black, wearing a mask and holding a rifle, then confronted him and took the gun away. The masked man ran off, but police later found and arrested 18-year-old John Holton, who faces charges of attempted robbery and possession of a stolen gun. Last October, Ryan Gipt was killed in an officer-involved shooting in Fort Yates. Now his family is asking for answers. Relatives gathered outside the administrative building in Fort Yates today. The Bureau of Indian Affairs said officers responded to reports of shots fired at Fort Yates gas station on October 23rd. Gipp exited the vehicle and walked towards officers with his hands in his pockets. Police say he ignored officer commands to show his hands, and they shot him.
At least tell us something, anything. Right now, I don't know anything. I haven't known anything since October 23rd, so I'm just sitting here on air.
We asked the BIA for an update, but they say they couldn't comment. In political news, a third Republican is announcing his intentions to seek the GOP nomination to run against incumbent Democratic Senator Heidi Heitkamp. Paul Schaffner is a former teacher who now works in the oil and gas industry. He was convicted in November of soliciting a prostitute, but he says he's appealing to the state Supreme Court. Tom Campbell and Gary Emeneth are also running. Well, 2 North Dakota natives are going for gold this week. If they succeed, they'll become the 2nd and 3rd Olympic gold medalists born in the state. Monique Lamoureux and her sister, Jocelyn Lamoureux, were born in Grand Forks in 1989. The sisters were standout hockey players for the University of North Dakota. This is their 3rd time competing in the Olympics, and the sisters say it might be their last.
I think this is by far the fastest and most skilled team we've played with and been a part of, and I think that's really what we're excited for, is to see as we get on in this tournament with our 2nd game tomorrow is, really letting that shine through in our performances in the next couple of games.
Team USA won the opening game against Finland 3-1, with Monique putting up a goal. Tomorrow they'll take on the Olympic athletes from Russia at 6:10 a.m. Central Time. Typically, Canada is the USA's biggest competitor. Speaking of sports, the Bismarck School District's inclusive sports program spiked its fundraising goal last week, raising more than $40,000. They hope to bring in $10,000 for Giving Hearts Day last week and ended up with more than $29,000 in one day. As an example of generosity, Rita Murphy Elementary brought in $2,400. Also in school news, Bismarck Public School Superintendent Tamara Yusliman is resigning from BPS after serving for 7 years. Yusliman announced her resignation in a letter to the school board this morning. Cynthia McLaughlin joins us from outside the BPS board meeting with details. In Washington, the Smithsonian National Portrait Gallery is giving us a first look at the official portraits of former President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama. The artists are the first African-American painters chosen for the honor. They both put in their own unique twist on the pieces. The contemporary portraits were commissioned by the Smithsonian. Coming up, what could be a major shift in battling a crippling opioid crisis. Today, a major pharmaceutical company announcing their plans to play down pill pushing. A major scare for the first family today after a letter containing a suspicious substance arrives at the home of Donald Trump Jr. His wife, Vanessa, opened the letter and was rushed to the hospital. It's not immediately clear what the substance was, but there are no reports of any injuries at this time. An investigation is underway. And 3 tourists were killed over the weekend when their helicopter went down over the Grand Canyon. Police say the victims were on their way to Vegas to celebrate a birthday. 3 other passengers and the pilot suffered life-threatening injuries. Investigators say wind may have been a factor in the crash. Parts of Kentucky are under a few feet of water right now after several rounds of heavy weekend downpours. At least 100 people were forced to evacuate while major roads remain closed. And a woman accused of kidnapping a baby from a Florida hospital 20 years ago and raising the child as her own is pleading guilty today. Gloria Williams faces up to 22 years for the kidnapping charge and 5 years for the custody interference charge. Harvey Weinstein back in the news tonight. The New York Attorney General is suing Weinstein and his movie studio. The suit alleges that the studio failed to protect staff from Harvey Weinstein himself. The mistreatment ranges from sexual harassment to verbal death threats made by Weinstein. And major news from the front lines of the opioid fight. Drug company Purdue Pharma is bowing to pressure to stop marketing OxyContin to doctors. It comes amid multiple lawsuits claiming overselling and overprescribing of opioids is responsible for the crisis. Also in health news, video games could offer relief for people suffering from schizophrenia. British researchers recruited 12 patients and found that playing video games helped quiet the voices in their heads. Further research is needed on a larger scale before the technique can be widely used. And Amazon says it's cutting hundreds of jobs at its Seattle headquarters. The positions are primarily in the consumer retail side of the business, but Amazon says it's still growing overall employee count. Amazon's workforce is currently at 566,000 people. Over in Italy, a food fight is raging, and the weapon of choice, oranges. Today, hundreds of people participated in the traditional Battle of the Oranges in Ivrea. The fruit fight is a highlight of the town's annual carnival festivities, which go on for 3 days. Another international festival to tell you about, this time in Rio de Janeiro. Carnival is going on this week. The family-friendly affair comes with costumes, glitter, foam, marching bands, and parades. And a winter wonderland made of ice in Colorado. The small town of Cripple Creek is kicking off its ice festival this weekend. Thousands of people are expected to flock to the area to check out the sculptures. And also on the cold front, some brave souls took the polar plunge today in Kansas. It's part of the Special Olympics. Dozens of participants dunked themselves in the pool. Bismarck's own polar plunge will be February 24th at the Elks Lodge. More on our polar conditions now. Meteorologist Henry Blake. Welcome back. Well, North Dakotans know all too well that there's a risk of frostbite and hypothermia in extreme cold. The Centers for Disease Control say there were more than 16,000 hypothermia deaths in the U.S. from 1999 to 2011, an average of about 1,300 per year. The state health department doesn't have data from hypothermia cases in 2017 yet, but Daniela Hurtado spoke to some doctors to get some sort of indication of what's been happening so far this winter.
Walking 5 miles in these cold temps may be a cause for concern.
Well, I probably walk pretty much every day right now. I don't drive. I don't like to drive when it's this cold. I've got an old car.
If I pull up the KFYR app, you can see it is 2 degrees out with winds at 3 miles per hour. But doctors say even if it's 30 degrees out and you're not layered properly, you could suffer from hypothermia.
All it requires is a temperature that's lower than your body temperature and prolonged exposure, because you're exposing yourself and losing heat to the environment, and pretty soon you'll cool down, and so hypothermia is more common than people realize.
But what if you don't have anywhere to keep warm?
It's a tough situation with the lack of care and services for the people that are unfortunate in this community.
If you do end up in the emergency room for hypothermia, this device will help doctors normalize your temperature. For West Dakota Fox News at 9, I'm Daniela Hurtado.
Speaking of winter weather, now that the snow is a pretty regular factor in our commute, it's crucial for drivers to know what roads have been plowed. Luckily, there's an app for that. It's called Track-A-Plow, the new overlay for the state travel map that allows you to see where snowplows are working on interstates and highways. The program is still going through the testing phase, so only 47 of the state's 350 plows are being tracked.
Well, it's just another opportunity for traveler information, and we saw that Iowa's doing it, Minnesota's picking up on it. I haven't found their map yet, but I know they're working on it as well.
If the test goes well, the program may go statewide next year. Still to come, O.J. Simpson is heading back to the silver screen, and some people are not happy about it. That story next. O.J. Simpson just hit another big payday. The disgraced former athlete who was acquitted of murder reportedly got paid $20,000 to appear in Sacha Baron Cohen's new movie. Simpson was released from a Nevada prison last year after serving 9 years for armed robbery. And the days of tattooing your significant other's name as a declaration of love may be over. One tattoo parlor in Arkansas says they've seen a steady decline of name tattoos. They say fewer people are sitting down to get something small. Henry, no matter the trends, I'll always have my meteorologist Henry Blake's tattoo.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And the good news is that it's not going to be as cold tonight as it was earlier this morning. So we are talking about single-digit sub-zero morning lows. But as we start out our Tuesday, yes, we're going to be in the single digits. South wind, rather light, but could be a little breezy at times. But wind isn't really going to be an issue for your Tuesday. Going with 30 degrees for Bismarck and Minot tomorrow, 28 for high in Williston. If you join us for Dickinson, 31, maybe 32, so you'll get pretty close to freezing. Southwest wind averaging 5 to 15, but for some could be a little gustier than that. Valentine's Day is Wednesday, and check it out. Yes, that is not a typo, folks. Some of us could reach 40 degrees, but a cold front pushes through during the late evening and overnight hours on your Valentine's Day, and that's going to bring a chance of snow and some much colder temperatures on Thursday. After that, the roller coaster ride just continues.
All right, hold on, and we'll see you tomorrow.